There are alien abductions that to this day are impossible to explain. Let's look at each of these 6 cases, starting with Betty and Barney Hill, an encounter that remains a mystery after more than 60 years. Betty and Barney Hill, an American couple, were traveling on a lonely road near Portsmouth, New Hampshire, on the night of September 19th, 1961, when a bright light appeared in the sky. They stopped the car and watched as the light descended, approached them, and suddenly, they lost consciousness. Under hypnosis, they reported being examined by short beings with large heads and slanted eyes, wearing tight-fitting uniforms. Betty drew a star map that years later was linked to the constellation Zeta Reticuli. Finally, they were returned to their car, with torn clothes, stopped watches, and no idea how they had ended up more than 37 miles away. And Travis Walton, a young American forestry worker, was with his colleagues in a forest in Arizona on the afternoon of November 5th, 1975, when a bright light appeared among the trees, causing his companions to flee. Walton, approaching the light, saw a metallic saucer-shaped object floating in the air, and a blue flash threw him into the air. He woke up inside an oval room with no windows, surrounded by 3 small beings with gray skin and huge black eyes who had placed him on a stretcher to scan him. Later, he was taken to another room where he encountered humanoids with golden skin and blonde hair. Walton lost consciousness several times during the experience. 5 days later, he appeared disoriented beside a highway, ending the desperate search for his companions. His account inspired the film Fire in the Sky and remains one of the most famous cases of alien abduction. Antonio Vilas-Boas, a young Brazilian farmer, was working one night in his field in São Francisco de Sales on October 16, 1957, when a red light descended from the sky onto his tractor. Before he could escape, he was captured by 3 humanoid figures wearing metal helmets and taken aboard an egg-shaped ship. Inside, they stripped him naked, applied a thick gel, and extracted blood from his chin. Then, a pale-skinned alien woman with white hair appeared. Without saying a word, she had relations with him. When she finished, she touched her belly and pointed to the sky. Vilas-Boas understood. They wanted to use him to create hybrid life. After 4 hours of abduction, the aliens returned the clothes they had taken from him and released him near the place where he had been captured. He returned sick and with marks on his skin. José María Carrillo, a renowned Spanish architect, was a child living in Madrid in 1976. When he woke up one night to find a humanoid figure with enormous eyes staring at him silently for hours, without moving or making a sound. Over the years, the phenomena intensified. Hoarse voices and unknown languages woke him up at night, and while driving with his family, he experienced a UFO sighting that marked a point of no return. As a teenager, he had an even stranger experience. He dreamed, or thought he dreamed, that he was in a square when a ship landed on him and sucked him in. Inside, in a bright room, an expressionless being examined him while another typed on a computer. After much effort, he felt himself fall suddenly onto his bed and woke up. Decades later, in 1996, his father underwent an X-ray in which they discovered a small metallic object in his shoulder, with no entry scar and no explanation. Years later, in 2024, it was removed. It was goethite, a mineral common in mines and also found on Mars. Father and son underwent hypnotic regressions, revealing similar memories. The case has been investigated by doctors, ufologists, and on the program Quarto Millennio, but both the mystery of the implant and everything that happened remain unanswered. Alan Godfrey, a former British police officer, was taking his morning walk through the natural landscape of Ilkley Moor on December 1st, 1987, when through the fog, he saw a strange humanoid figure a few meters away. Instinctively, he raised his camera and shot. The figure had a large head, disproportionate arms, and an almost translucent shape that was difficult to define. As he tried to get closer, Alan lost consciousness completely. Later, under hypnosis, he reported waking up inside a spaceship. He was surrounded by beings similar to the one in the photo. They examined him with light and floating machines and projected disturbing images onto him. Destroyed cities, the Earth dying, and a telepathic message about the future of humanity. When he came to, he was exactly where he had started, but 2 hours had passed. His watch confirmed it. The photograph was analyzed by experts, including Kodak personnel. No one could explain what it showed, but they also found no signs of tampering. The negative remains one of the few alleged pieces of graphic evidence of an extraterrestrial encounter. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker, two American friends, were fishing peacefully on the banks of the Pascagoula River in Mississippi on the night of October 11th, 1973, when a loud metallic buzzing sound broke the silence of the place. In front of them, a spacecraft floated silently. 3 tall gray beings emerged from inside, with no visible ease, rigid limbs, and claws instead of hands. They floated without moving their legs. Both men were paralyzed and taken inside the spacecraft. The abduction lasted 20 minutes, during which they were subjected to a body scan by a round mechanical eye. Calvin even reported being examined by a female humanoid figure who communicated telepathically with him. After being released, terrified and in shock, they drove straight to the sheriff's office. They told the officers about their experience, and the officers left them alone in a room while secretly recording them. On the tape, the 2 men can be heard whispering nervously, frightened, not knowing what to do, believing they were unobserved. Far from making up a story, they seemed genuinely traumatized. 19 years later, Parker claimed to have seen the ship again. This time, he went up of his own accord. Inside, he encountered the same female figure, but this time she spoke to him in English and gave him a message with strong spiritual content. What about you? Do you think these abductions really happened, or is there a logical explanation for them? Leave your opinion in the comments and tell me what other topics you would like to see on the channel. See you on the next trip through the Paintverse.